All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Egoless podcast. I have an incredible person today, Emily Crooke. I followed her online before, met her on LinkedIn, and seen what she's doing. And I was absolutely motivated. So I said, Emily, please will you be on my podcast? Because I want to know what makes you different and what's your why. So thank you so much, Emily, for being on my podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
She has her own business. She's one of the top producers for the Ed Mylett. Like, that name has some serious weight to it. She owns her own sector called the Wealth Pack. And their motto is that the strength of the wolf is the pack and that the strength of the pack is the wolf. Break that down for me, Emily. Tell me what that means.
Yeah. And it kind of stems from the fact of, your team is as strong as your weakest link. And I've always believed you surround yourself with like-minded people. It's like when you go to the gym. If you want to get better, if you want to be in better shape, you're going to work out with people that are often a little bit stronger than you, could run a little bit faster than you, because you need to be a little bit more competitive. The same thing applies with business. Surround yourself with 7, 8, 9-figure earners, and guess what the outcome is going to be? You're bound to become one. So the same mentality comes with the Wealth Pack. It kind of stemmed off the Wolf Pack. Whenever I heard that, I was like, dang, this is like badass. Turns out no one registered for that trademark. You better believe I called my attorney, and I was like, let's get that bad boy.
I'm gonna start thinking of some cool taglines like that. That's actually how Egoless, part of my whole brand and my image is just like what you said, is like, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and you're only as strong as the pack overall. It's like, if we can get outside of ourselves, get outside of our ego, and we can really see of ourselves as a group and a team, there's so much more that we can accomplish. So even just like listening to what you just said, like there, like that was like super motivating the way that you said that. Have you always been that way, to where you're just like so high spirited, like, hey, we're going to get this done?
Yeah, it's, you're not the first one to ask that question. And I know you're not.
I bet I'm not.
No, I really am blessed to kind of go through a lot of hardships in my life. And I use the word blessed because I think it really shaped me to who I am today. Back in high school, it started when I was 15 years old. I've always been a high performer, a perfectionist, and I never felt like I was good enough. I was the one to get the straight A's, take the college courses when I was in 9th grade, and never feel like I was, doing enough. And it got to the point where I struggled severely with an eating disorder. So bad, Jake, that these doctors were looking both myself and my parents in the eye and saying, you know what, Emily, you're slowly dying if you don't change. So from the years of 15 to 18, I was in and out of hospitals. And in these treatment centers, you were not given any technology. So you were either forced to stare at a freaking wall all day or start reading. I, of course, chose the latter, and I started immersing myself in Tony Robbins, Dave Ramsey, John Maxwell. And I was like, you know what? We all have one thing in common. We hyper-focus. And then I started figuring out the importance of the mind. And it could either work for you or against you. And I realized during those 3 years, my mind was working against me. So I was like, okay, let's take how my brain is wired and let's copy what all of these 8, 9-figure earners are doing. Because if they could do it, I'm going to beat them. I think that going to the very low of my life, now I would never wish that upon anyone. However, overcoming that, seeing the light, one of my whys, you asked me earlier, is my goal in life is to make someone smile, because I know that if I had felt like such in a black hole, I know someone else is feeling like that. So if I could be some sort of light in anyone's life, that's my purpose here on this world. So that's where I started my journey on social media, in hopes of shining light and positivity and awareness.
So that's actually what it attracted me to you, is your energy, is, that positivity. And that's because that's so many times, like, when we really do attract everything into our life, because it's just like, hey, I don't know what this person has. Like, I never even knew that whole story about all of that, which I think is incredible, and I'm gonna go deeper into, but it's just because it's like, hey, that person is positive. They've got good energy. I don't even know what you do. I didn't even know what all this stuff is. Like, hey, I just want to know this person. I want to be, figure out if they're, what they're doing, because they are an energetic person. So I really think that that's the thing that attracts, people around us. Is that what kind of like the opportunities and things that, because I'm sure that there's people, when it comes to a resume, are a little bit more qualified, right? Coming from the fact of, hey, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been doing this for 15 years. So when you look at it on paper, it's like, here's what it is, but it's like, So do you get opportunities that come to you just based on your personality and how you see the world and how you see every situation?
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, like experience is great and not knocking that, not knocking any credentials that you have, master's, PhD, but at the end of the day, it's your work ethic and who you are as a person. Like we're all human beings. And I'm big on emotional intelligence. You'll realize that the people who have the most money aren't the most intelligent, no, but they know how to communicate with other people. And I've realized one of the most important things about being a leader or being successful is the art of listening and understanding, having empathy for someone else. Because if someone knows that you care about them, that's the game changer. It's not all about the deliverables or what can you bring to the table, what's the money
Yeah.
that's in your bank account. It's like just your heart. And you can't show me what your heart looks like on paper, but you could prove it to me over time building relationships.
I read a book that's pretty close to everything that Jim Rohn, uh, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, all these people said, right? Basically a summary back, and he wrote it back in 1905, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. 1905, like this guy wrote this book, As a Man Thinketh, and a lot of that stuff stemmed from the Bible, like little pieces and extras. Like we've always had the information that we've had of like how to win and succeed at life. But now we're at a place now where things are packaged together where you have immediate access to all the information in the entire world. That's why I think that we live in an incredible time. Like with just what you told me, you can do what your mentors and the people that you looked up to, you can do what they did 10 times faster because of the resources and the technology and the broadcasting things that they never had before, because you have a platform. Most people back 15 years, 20 years ago, were not posting on YouTube. They weren't posting, like what we're doing now. Even just this conversation now is something that, those people didn't have.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's one huge thing about having mentors. And if you're listening to this right now, I would encourage you, whatever line of business or whatever line of work you're doing, seek the best. Ask them to be your mentor and ask them, what are the biggest mistakes you made? That's one of my favorite questions to ask all of my mentors. I have several of them. I like to learn what their mistakes are so I don't have to make them, but I could learn their thought process on why they thought that was the best decision. And I'm a big nerd, so whenever I do anything, I'm always researching, and I'm huge into reverse engineering anything that I do. So if I have a goal, whether it be something I want to accomplish next week or in 5 years, how could I make that happen? And I very detail oriented, but I think a lot of that comes from mentorship. I mean, Google has the answer to everything. You just have to know what question to ask it.
Who are your biggest mentors? Like, just give me like one or two, and why.
Hand on heart, my dad is my biggest mentor. And I say that for a variety of reasons. I know for those of you who see me on LinkedIn, I post so much about him, but he's been with me and my mom through the worst, through the times I was in treatment. He visited me every single day. And we to the point where we only saw each other outside the window. He does very well in what he does, but he never had the opportunity to explore entrepreneurship. So he was the one sending me those entrepreneurship books in those treatment centers. And he opened a lot of doors to me and is my rock in everything that I do.
That's incredible. And I really relate to that because my dad was a pastor, and, being a pastor, you don't make more than $20,000 a year. And so that was not that it was tough on me growing up, because he was my biggest mentor as well. My father, the greatest man that I know, but he didn't have the opportunity. But he gave me the stage and the ability to do that. So tell me more about that relationship. I've got a 14-month-old son now. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what I do, for me, like if I want to make sure that he has a great platform to do bigger things than I do. And if he wins, to me, I win, because I'm the one who set him up for that. Like being a father, like I can relate. 14 months before that, I couldn't relate. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have a kid. I'm excited. What's it going to be like? And I'm not a person who cries at all, but when he was born, like I'm bawling my eyes out, because I'm like, why? Like, why do I feel this way? I don't know. It's just like, it's inside me. You know what I mean? So being a father, like I can relate to that fact. So like whatever I want to do is that I want to, give my son, the ability to succeed. So tell me a little bit more about that relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny. Well, also your son is so adorable.
Thank
Oh
you.
my goodness. But I have two brothers and we all came out, that's the word, differently. Okay. We all have completely different personalities, but if you meet my dad, me and him are two of the same. I'm a girl version of him. And I think we could relate to that oftentimes because our minds are always going. even let's say if we would do family vacations, my dad and I are thinking of different business ideas, like targeting different target audiences. But I think as a father, one thing that I admire most about him is he's always there and he listens. There's even sometimes I'm like, Dad, I just want to talk to you. I don't even want to hear what you have to say because honestly, you're probably right. And I do not want to hear that. I just want to talk to you and you just listen. And
Yeah.
he's always there. I call him, he answers.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, and so like, and I can't say that we were always like this. I mean, I opened up a little bit about my story during those 3 years in and out of treatment center. I despised my parents for forcing me to go because when you're in such a low place, you don't think you have a problem, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like going into the spiraling downwards into the point where like there's no end. And I remember one of my lowest nights, I woke up and my dad had his head on my heart, and I woke up and I was like, Dad, what are you doing? He was making sure my heart was still beating, and
Oh
I
my
was so
goodness.
low. And so it's like, I know from the outside perspective, you could see something that looks so pure and so perfect. But I always like to say that, what you see, especially on social media, people often only show the highlights. You don't know what happens behind stage. And so a few years in our life, it was hard. It was rough. I was
Yeah.
alone. But I wouldn't have traded anything to have the relationship that I have with him now.
Do you know what an Enneagram is?
No, I don't.
An Enneagram, it's like you've got Enneagrams like 1 through 7. It's kind of like the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things for me, because just like you said your mind was running all that stuff. I had the exact same problem. That's why I can kind of relate. And I never knew why, right? I never felt like I was good enough, all that stuff. I'd always have to be the best. I mean, even if I was the best, it wasn't good enough anyways. And so one of the biggest things for me is I started doing a lot of different personality study types to where I found out that there's like 7 different Enneagrams, like 1 through 7. And most people fall on one of those. And for me, I'm an Enneagram 3. And finding out about myself based on that personality type has been able to help me grow so much because, I'm able to see what I'm doing and see where I'm at in my life. And I'm able to say, I'm able to think clearer about who I am. And I don't feel bad about things anymore. If it wasn't good enough, it's like, hey, at least I did it and I'm okay. Say if somebody is struggling with, something like that, like you were like trying to be perfect and all that stuff, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that I feel that I overcame it. I still struggle. I'm always trying to be quote unquote perfect. I'm always trying to do better. But I think I've realized now that I have to take a step back and I start talking out loud the thoughts that I'm thinking in my head. Because like I said, your mind is so powerful and it could
Mm-hmm.
either work for you or against you. And by not verbalizing the thoughts in your head, you're rationalizing it. But
Exactly.
as soon as you talk it out, or what I even do is I write it down and I read it out loud. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? What the heck?
Yep.
Like, this is crazy. And then it brings you back to reality. Let's say the thoughts are going real hard and you just feel so down. I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reset.
I love
And
it.
the reason why I go backwards is because once you hit 1, there's nowhere else to go. If you were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your mind could start racing and keep counting up. Down from 5 to 1, and then clap, which it's like a hard stop. If you study neurolinguistics, whenever
Yep.
you're speaking is a clap. Yep.
I can
So
tell you, I can tell you listen to Tony Robbins.
yeah. And it's funny, you'll actually, once you study it and you see a lot of these speakers on stage, they do like hand gestures. Like this is one, Ed Mylett, he does this. So I start I start counting however many he does. But yeah, those are my 2 little tips.
That's incredible. Like just hearing you say that, because so for me, it's the exact same way. I used to feel bad that I would have to hype myself up before a meeting. Cause like some days you don't feel like you're on top of the world. You know what I mean? Like you could have all the knowledge, all the skills and all that stuff but you just are not feeling it that day. And I would feel bad about not feeling good about it. You know what I mean? Like not feeling motivated. So I'd really have to I would go look myself in the mirror and I'd be like, listen, get up, like stop being a little baby. Like you've got this, like you've done this before, you've done it, like get motivated, like really have to like sit there and get myself hyped up. And then I would go in and be able to do it. But I was able to change my state just like you were talking about.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of times too, the word motivation, it floats around often. And people see me on LinkedIn, like, what keeps you so motivated? How are you so motivated? Well, what I like to explain is kind of like taking a shower. So if you take a shower today, are you going to be clean in 365 days if this is the only time you take a shower? Heck to the no. I hope you take a shower every single day. Same thing with motivation. You think of something that your mind correlates to, okay, this is a positive mood. For me, it's waking up, writing down 3 things I'm grateful for. Every single morning I say I'm a child of God and a person of worth. My metric of success is to make someone smile. If I make one person smile, even if it's at Costco getting water or whatever, toilet paper, if I make
Yeah.
someone smile, boom, my metric of success is great. So
That's incredible because it's so funny. Like I feel like I'm listening to myself right now, just because like I say the exact same thing. I said motivation is a lot like a shower. Like if you don't do it daily, like it's not gonna be good. And it's so funny. I was on a podcast yesterday, and I said that, and then somebody was like, "You get motivated in the shower." I was like, "No, that you don't get motivated in the shower." I'm saying like it's a lot like a shower, and they're like,
yeah.
okay. So it's just that's awesome though. So starting from when you're grateful like that, right? So you're starting your day with gratitude. Do you feel like that is the ground for everything,
I
like the
definitely
base for
think,
it?
yeah, I definitely believe that having a heart of gratitude serves as a strong foundation to start your day, to start your business, to start your life. Absolutely.
Now, so if somebody is like going through like financial hardships, they've got things going on, they're not really winning in life. How could they find something to be grateful for?
Honestly, some days I wake up and like you were saying, that you just don't feel that good. I think of things funny. The other day I was having like a off morning. You just wake up on the other side of the bed. My one thing I was thankful for was having crunchy almond butter from Trader Joe's in the refrigerator waiting for me. Like that was what I
Yeah,
was
like
grateful.
yeah.
So there's always something little. The fact that you were able to open your eyes where someone may be in the hospital struggling from COVID-19. Another colleague of mine, every single morning, if he wakes up on an offside, he goes to GoFundMe.com and looks up little kids who are struggling with cancer. They're stuck with a terminal illness and they literally cannot do anything about it. And then that puts them in a different mindset. So finding something that could just snap you out of your current state. Because yeah, you may be going through a financial hardship, but we go through seasons of our life. Some are harder than others. And writing down, okay, so addressing the problem, what are some steps that you could take personally to help overcome and to get to your goal?
That's incredible. And just like you said about finding things to be grateful for, and I mean, saying the hospital situation, all that stuff, because really, truly, our happiness is so much built upon comparison. Even though we have more now as a society, it seems like we're getting unhappier because of social media, comparison, everything. So if I got to get rich, I'm going to be happy. And so for me, if somebody had, $10 million, or say even $100 million in their bank account, but they were blind, right? They would give away every single one of those dollars just to be able to just to be able to see. If your kid was in the hospital, you had all the money in the world, you would give it all away just for your kid. And that's why I'm like, okay, if that's the case, like, even though I have nothing, I do have the ability to become something. I can see, I can walk, I can talk. And even though my situation doesn't look any different or anything like in life right now, I can go out and create something for myself.
Absolutely. And I think on that note, it's very important to separate your self worth from your biggest insecurity. Oftentimes with social media, depending on who you're following, everyone's promoting their Lamborghinis, their Ferraris, their beach house, their Gulf Streams. So yeah, you're looking at yourself driving a Toyota Camry and like, freak, what am I doing wrong? You don't know their situation. You have no idea. You only know what they want you to see. So it's funny because earlier in this podcast, yeah, technology is great. It could serve as a huge asset, but it could also serve as a huge mental distress. And I was taught very young from my mom, who's a huge believer and has instilled a lot of faith in me and my walk with Christ. But she always said, you know what, Emily, comparison is a thief of joy.
That's
As a,
good.
as a girl, especially like going through Instagram, looking at these amazing like Victoria's Secret models, it's like, well, shoot, why do I look like this? What's this extra skin and these rolls on my tummy, mom? Like, what is that? And so it's all about really filtering out what you're looking on social media and addressing, A, is it healthy? B, is it not? because more often than not, you're spending a lot of time scrolling and you don't think it's doing anything, but subconsciously it is.
No, I think that's incredible, because really what you have done is you've created yourself into a place that, because I know that you are in the financial services sector, but because of who you are inside, right? Emily Crooke, because of who you are inside and what you have, whether you in the financial sector, whether you were in the restaurant industry, no matter what it was, is you would have the exact same outcome that you have, being explosive, being the top, top producers over there, for Ed Mylett, because of who you are. So who you are and what you do is two totally different things, but what you do is always going to be affected by who you are, because that's what the power is. Like you've got the energy, right? You've got the battery. Doesn't matter what engine or what thing you put it in, like it's got the energy, and we're going to make it go. And that's what I love about you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Now, I honestly, I feel so blessed to be doing what I'm doing, but it's all about having the compassion. And I'm all about, serving someone. I'm alive for a reason. I feel like my calling is just to make a difference in people's life. And right now it's financially, and I'm absolutely loving it.
At the end of the day, and I want to get into what you do now, because everybody likes you already if they're listening to this. And so Joe Rogan stroked a deal to go exclusive with Spotify, right? So what's now is that we're realizing is that we are the brand anymore. It's not like, YouTube is just a platform, but Joe Rogan there was the brand, and he was able to structure a deal to where he's going to get paid what he's worth to go exclusive with somebody. Like, you are the brand. So if anybody's even in listening to that, it's like listening to, you, it's like, dang, they like you, they like what you're about, their energy. What do you do? Because, I want to be a part of it, not a part of the company, but it's like, hey, if you have a product that can help me, I want to go with you, because we buy from people that we like. So tell us what you do in the financial service sector and how you can help people.
Yeah, so my main mission is to sit down with individuals and truly educate them on their current financial situation, write down all of their numbers, do a complete financial needs analysis, and from there determine if there's anything that I need to be doing. Now, my main bread and butter that I would consider, it's like my passion product, something that I personally own, is an investment vehicle that you're putting your money into something that is accumulating cash tax-free, and you have access to it tax-free. And by doing so, it's a tax to life insurance. And now I joke because life insurance isn't sexy. No one wants to talk about life insurance. But as soon as you tell them that their returns are a lot greater than other investment vehicles, boom, you got them. So that's my current passion project. But it's simply sitting down with people, connecting with them, understanding, what are their struggles in life. And if there's something that I personally could do to help that in the financial service industry, by all means, I'm here to help.
I think that a lot of times that people may think that they have it together. But really when you sit down, you feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, I've got it together. But when you actually sit down and go through the books and you go through the numbers and all of those things, that there really is so much lacking, because just like you said, you're there to serve, you're there to help them, all that stuff. I feel like that there's been so many financial institutions that is just taking their money and they're like, hey, here's a policy. It sounds good, everything like that. But somebody like you who truly wants to help people, actually, once you get into that, you're like, hey, like what you thought you were getting, like you're not getting at all. And here's what we have, and here's how we can help you. Do you find that to be the case?
Absolutely. And I think the education piece is missing. Like I said, Google has the answers to everything unless you don't know what questions to ask. And oftentimes we sit down with trusted advisors thinking that they have our best interests in mind. But do we read the little papers or the little disclaimers, the fine print? And I think more often than not, I sit down with at least 5 clients a day. I've been quite busy. And people tend to turn a blind eye on what's really happening. For example, if they have money in a 401k, no one wants to look at what's in it now. The market's
Yep.
not doing too well. And so they're like, oh, yeah, no, I'll get to it. Well, if that's the money that you have focused on retirement, it's something to address. Whenever you're talking to someone about finances, you have to come in with a heart of compassion and a heart of empathy, because it's a very touchy subject. It's the main reason why most divorces occur. So if not addressed properly and taken steps to improve if needed, it could become a huge problem. So I want to use my time and my abilities just to serve.
Whatever that you do, you're going to be incredible. And that organization is just, so lucky to have you there. One point before I ask my final question, I do want to go back and ask you this. you just made a note that said going through that, most divorces are because of finances. How can that be true? That doesn't make any sense because we don't need, people don't need money to be in love, right? Like that's what social media tells us. Like, oh, we don't need money to be in love. Like, we're good. We're going to get into this. We're going to figure it out. So tell me about that a little bit.
It causes a lot of tension. I've sat down with several clients this past week, and the spouse couldn't look at the other person in the eye, tell them how much they were actually making annually because they weren't happy. They were embarrassed by it.
Oh my
So
goodness.
they turn the blind eye. And a lot of individuals, they don't have savings. So God forbid someone was furloughed. Okay, so what's going to happen? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay the car rent? What happens now? And if these things aren't spoken about in creating a monthly budget, something very simple, yet people don't do. And society, they don't teach us this. I have my master's degree in business, and they didn't teach me a lot of what I taught myself when I joined this industry. I'm the type of person that I'm not going to join something until I do thorough research. Like, hand on heart, I am the biggest nerd ever. In the past month alone, I've read 6 different textbooks all about the products that we serve, how I could best help someone in these situations.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'd wake up at like 5 a.m., go to bed super late. And so that's why a lot of the big name people are calling me, because like if they have any client who has a technical question, they're like, go ask that blonde girl down in South Florida. She knows everything.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I think that probably a lot of people, when they think of investments or they think of anything, they think that they have a lot of money. Does somebody have, can somebody with a regular job, right? By regular, I mean, just, hey, average income for America, right? That person, like, if I was in that position, being empathetic, I would think to myself, there is no way that I have, money to invest, because I gotta have big money to invest. Like, that's it. Do you have programs to help people
Well,
like that?
Well, so one thing is I don't actually like using the word invest, especially when we're talking about retirement. I ask someone, how much money are you willing to save so that you do not have to work in the next 10, 20 years, right? How much money could you put aside and have it grow, and you'll have access to it tax-free? What many people don't realize is the money in a traditional IRA or 401k, you partner with a guy named Uncle Sam when you need the money most.
Yep.
He's a little greedy. So
History shows that. Yeah.
yeah, but the crazy thing, and this is what fuels my fire even more, is if you sit down with any 8, 9-figure earner, they all know about what we do because people charge them $1,000 an hour to educate them on this. So that's why the mainstream, the average Emily, didn't know about this. So my heart is like, you know what? No, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm going to sit down with you. I could sit down with you for 4 hours, and if you don't sell a policy, that's fine. But if I'm sitting here and I'm educating you, I'm making a difference in someone's life. And that's my metric of success. So absolutely, you could have an average income, quote unquote, but know that you're not going to be average for long. Get that little drive, start challenging yourself, picking things up.
So let me ask you this, right? Because sometimes a lot of people can't go to college and different things, and they do, they do have a job to where they've got to be at that job to make the bills. But if what you're telling me is true, which I believe that it is, I'm sure, and you've got all the data and everything to back it up. If I am making a regular income, but I want to be able to retire one day, the smartest thing that I could possibly ever do is come meet with you right now, because you're going to be able to say, hey, it might be this right now, but in 15 or 20 years, you're going to be in a completely different place. Is that true?
100%. Start now.
Stop everything that you're doing and go call
Stop
Emily.
right now.
Stop right now. Don't do another thing. Because it really is like, and I don't know the way it works because I haven't signed up. I'm going to sign up with you now just because I like you, and I know it's going to be good. You watch these ads and things like that. It's like invest for as little as a cup of coffee a day. If somebody was to say, take one little, thing that they could take away from a daily spend and investment, would that be a possibility to be able to grow that, to have financial security, when they need it?
Absolutely. I read something the other day, and I sat down with a client who didn't know much about finances. If you take $1, Jake, and you double that dollar 20 times in a tax-free environment, that dollar now becomes slightly over $1 million. So it's like the biggest mistake people make is waiting till tomorrow. I'm going to eat healthy tomorrow. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. I'm going to save tomorrow. No, like, start now. And I always think about future Emily. So like for me, future Emily in 10 years is going to be perfectly fine. So I'm always thinking about the future.
That's incredible. And I have to get off this podcast right now because I got to go invest some of these dollars because like I don't want to forget. No, but seriously, that's absolutely incredible. And just like, to wrap it up, a lot of times when people say no, like no, they're not really saying no. They're saying I don't KNOW. I don't know if, if I have the ability to do it. I don't know if what you're saying is true. All of those things. So I think that that's just so incredible of what, your mission, and what you're about, because you're always going to make incredible money because of who you are, but not just that, you're going to change so many people's lives because in 10 years, somebody's going to be sitting down and saying, my life is completely different because I signed up with Emily. And that's just like, at the end of the day, it's like, all right, we giving people the information. They know, like you have them curious. Like you can't not be curious just from listening to what you have to say. It's like, now all that you have to do, like nobody's asking you to spend any money like that. But like, if you go just talk with Emily, text her, call her, whatever, hit her up on these social media things. And because if what she's saying is true, she's going to give you the facts and the data that you can make that decision for yourself and for your future self, because you can look at the way the economy is right now. You can look at everything. Look how many people are out of work right now with no savings whatsoever. You do not have to be one of those people. You literally have the information right now to be able to go and change your life, your future self. So I think this is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Where can people find you at, Emily?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram, which is just Emily Crooke, and there's an underscore. My big following is on LinkedIn, and I'm very active on both of those. So either LinkedIn or Instagram, just know that I will get back to you if you reach out with any questions, any concerns. I'll be more than happy to help.
Awesome. Emily, thank you so much. I feel like we got so much value out of this podcast, your why and what you do. And I think that's the explosive force for what we need in life. So it's been absolutely incredible to have you.
Of course, well, it's a bit of a blessing to be on here. So I hope the viewers out there had a little bit of value added to their day. And I'm thinking about each and every one of you, and I hope you guys have an amazing one.
That's it. They got a little bit, and they can keep following you and get a lot of it, because when you follow Emily, it's not just going to be that one time thing. It's all those daily motivating things. If you're not feeling motivated, you get online and watch Emily, and you're going to get motivated, because if we're around somebody else that has high energy, we're going to get some of that high energy too. So it's incredible. I'm going to keep following you and do whatever I can to promote you. And so I appreciate you.
Oh, you're awesome. I appreciate you as well.
Ego out the way. Please do not let that be the thing that's in your way. Eagle should escape. Let it go and fly high like an eagle or a jay. Or a seagull to the lake. If you want to go and find that